Alright, so we're gonna do a new channel now called It's Raw or Get Raw, whichever I decide. We're just gonna talk about anything and everything, really. You want to talk about work ethic? Let's talk about work ethic. You want to talk political? We can talk political. So you can stay calm. We'll talk about anything and everything. People want to make suggestions when we upload the video?
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
make-
absolutely.
We'll fucking talk about whatever. So.
I'm good with that.
So I guess we're gonna start off with like work ethic and how it's gone downhill, or what y'all think about it.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
I'm Serafina, by the way.
she's been on T&M reviews a couple times, and
Yes.
I don't think Jordan has.
Nope,
yet.
I have not.
So, since you've been military,
Yes.
you're a farmer and small town kid like me. Oil field, yeah. So you're the oldest one here. Not to say anything. What do you think about work ethic so far?
Gracefully old.
Yeah,
Age like fine wine.
she does. Yeah. So,
Okay.
tell
so-
us what you think about like the work ethic nowadays compared to what it was, and we'll just jump in.
Okay, well, in my opinion,
Humble opinion.
there is none. Really, the new generation does not want to work, or if they do want to work, they want to work and get $1 million like this.
Mm-hmm.
How can you do that if you don't know how to do your profession?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how do you do it?
Well, to bounce off that, I also think just to add to it, there's also been such a drop in vocational schools.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and the
for sure.
tendency
Yeah.
in trade schools that, you know, the men and women that run this country thoroughly run it are the people that work in electricity, people that plumbers, mechanics,
Truckers.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's nobody that's wanting to do hard work. That's physical work, and there's just not a whole lot of people that want to be physical at anything.
No, and
Hard labor is considered not good. They want to do viral stuff. They want to make a quick buck.
Yep.
So,
I want their 15 minutes and then go on their way.
exactly.
Yeah.
It don't work.
No, I don't like doing a lot of overtime now, just because I like to do my own thing. But they refuse to do. A lot of people refuse to do overtime as well.
See, and I got our
We were talking earlier. How many hours of overtime did you have on your last check?
23 and a half
And you do what?
oil field.
Exactly.
Holy cow, dude. For real.
Yeah.
Is it because nobody wanted
Oh, no,
to
that's just what I
work,
love.
or that's just you
That's-
choosing to?
Yeah, if I don't work 10 hours, an 8-hour day kills me.
Yeah.
I can't stand an 8-hour day. I have to work a minimum of 10, if not more.
10 is a good. I
Yep.
think 10 is a
I
really
honestly
good.
think that should be, screw the 8-hour, 5-day. No. 10 hours, and some of them 4-day. Some jobs, 10 hours, shifts, 4
12
days a
hours.
week.
Yeah.
10 and 12.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want some days off to enjoy the week. Why not?
Yeah.
You can't just do everything on the weekend.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
there's not enough time in 8 hours to get everything done to progress to the next day. There's not.
There isn't at all.
No, you're right on that.
And that's
so.
with 2 kids and a wife at home. I still, to me, 10 hours a day I have to work.
Yeah, and I know you like make time for your family and kids, even if you're
Oh, yeah.
bum ass tired. So
Oh, yeah.
it's
Well, you
just a
have to.
Yeah,
I mean, that
yeah,
you have to if you want to stay married.
Yeah.
If you want to be present in your kid's life, you
Uh-huh.
have to. But
Yeah.
in the military, whenever I was in the military, it was hard.
Yep.
I was always on TDY, or I was sent over to Afghanistan or Iraq. So it's one of those things of people here take advantage.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. And I'm not picking. But
Did a little
it's well, yeah. It's just, if people had a broader view of, people want to have families. There's a reason why they get married. There's a reason why they have children, and they want to be present, but they can't be present because we're having to go everywhere else that nobody else is choosing to do.
Yeah, we are number one. We are literally the all voluntary military system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
So
really
thank
wish
you
that
for
they would.
that.
I really wish that they would change it. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
And this is truly how I feel. But I think that there are so many kids that are lost that if you were just mandated at
8,
least
2
3 years,
or 3.
because it takes at least 18 months to do basic training and then
Yeah.
get your schooling done. and then you go and then you're off to do your actual job. And that would let you know,
Yep.
is this for me or is this not? And
Yep.
it gives you the discipline and to be able to rely on yourself. It gives yourself a backbone if you didn't have one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
It
you
makes
also
you
get it.
think.
You also get some sort of trade out of it, and some
Absolutely.
sort of discipline to where when there's a task at hand, you don't. Pardon my French, but half-ass it.
Right. You do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So,
I always told my kids whenever they have their chores, you have the right to do it the first time, or you can keep on doing it until it's done right.
yeah.
I was on dishes for 6 years. as a kid.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I mean, let's see, I had my eldest, Christian, and Christopher, they literally cleaned the bathroom, and I made them go in there 4 different times.
Damn.
Either you're going to do it right the
Yeah.
first time, or you're going to do it right until
Yeah.
you can do it right.
Yeah,
Until
the
it's
way I
complete.
grew up is my parents instilled in me, or my mom did. If you're gonna do something, you do it with excellence to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Or you don't do it at all.
Yeah, where is
So,
that right
because
now?
because if you don't do it to that, you're never going to move forward. I mean, at the end of the day, if you did your best and something still got screwed up, you can still say, "Look, man, look, boss, I did everything in my power to do. I screw up stuff daily. It happens.
That's for sure.
Stuff out of your hand.
Well,
All you
we're
say is, I
human.
did it.
Yeah.
But at least you can take accountability for it.
It's
And
not.
then you move forward. You learn, and then you move forward.
It's not $15 an hour at McDonald's flipping burgers. That's not supposed to be a career.
No,
No.
it's supposed to be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's minimum wage. You're not supposed to stay on forever. That's for like high school kids
exactly.
to gain knowledge in the work field, not just stay there.
When I
And
started,
that's what people don't get
Well,
nowadays.
there's for elderly citizens as well to get back in if they don't want to stay
Yeah.
in retirement. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also for kids that have special needs.
I
I have a child that has special needs, and these particular jobs are designed for a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And I think that for some reason nobody wants to. There's hardly anybody that takes on that role.
Yeah.
They're hand it to me, please. I'll work, but I don't want to do anything for it. But you got to pay me.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the stimulus really screwed us.
Oh, for
Oh, yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Is you want to move to and I'm gonna say it this way, a socialist type of society, live off the government type of
I
society,
don't want to do that.
where I had 2 kids, a wife, and I was making 4 a week until I got the job I have now. I did that for 6 years,
Mhm.
living off that a week, main provider.
Wow, congratulations.
Never
'cause
once
that
did
is
I
hard.
go to the government for assistance. Never once. I think she had food stamps, I did.
Mhm.
And that was about the only, other than, of course, family.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, we had the support system of that. That helped a lot. A lot of, trust me, there was a lot of times bills got helped with.
Right.
I ain't saying that by any means, but it never stopped us trying. We didn't look at it as, ooh, easy.
Yep.
Sign up, here you go. We'll keep benefiting you. And yet, I work in the oil and gas company, and I see $4 or $5 gas. Guess what? To me, whatever the price is, it's going to be. I
Mhm.
got to pay it. If I'm not going to ask the government for a subsidy to, you know, a rebate or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
And then you start giving 18-year-olds, because they're adult stimulus,
Yeah.
they figure out they ain't got to work for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
How about riding that unemployment for
Exactly.
years?
Yeah. I don't know how many people I've talked to in the last year or two. Like, why would I want to work when I make more on
On
unemployment?
unemployment.
So they literally just want to sit on their happy ass and get fat and have it handed to them, and they don't see anything wrong with it nowadays.
See, and
They're being I think intentionality is a really good thing, but what are you being intentional about? Are you going to better yourself? Or are you going to cripple yourself? And they're intentionally crippling themselves in this new generation.
like, I went on unemployment, I think it was for 3 months because I worked for my grandfather, and my grandmother got sick, and we couldn't work. Didn't have a choice doing it. So
Yeah.
for like 3 or 4 months, I was on it. I never wanted to get off of it so fast in my entire life. I didn't want any bit of it. I didn't.
Yeah.
Until I think it was my mother or my brother that said, finally someone in our life's benefiting from us working. Versus everybody else that we never know.
Yeah.
I went, okay, I like that part of it, but I still don't want it.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's
hard
a
to
big,
cry for.
that's a big wake-up call. But you know what? You have to have a little bit of pride. How are you gonna move forward and achieve something if you
Yeah.
don't have a little bit of pride in it, you know?
right. Yeah.
That's how you better yourself.
So but just put in perspective that I was thankful for it at the time I had it, but I was doing my damnedest to get off it as quick as possible. Unlike 90% of the people on it, yeah, we just keep bringing it in.
Yeah.
Have more kids, get more money.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that, but I've just seen from my own eyes,
That's a lot of it. Yeah.
you know,
Like-
it's not like I'm not seeing. There have been people that have truly needed it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad that we can help them.
Yeah.
But the people that are taking advantage of it,
Yeah.
come on.
Have a little bit of pride in yourself.
Have a little
yeah.
bit of pride in yourself. Work towards doing something to better your family because everything is a circle.
Yeah.
Everything is a circle. They learn. Your kids learn from you.
Yeah.
Your ethnics, your stubbornness.
Yeah.
They see everything. If you want them to succeed, show them that you can fail and succeed.
And take accountability for it at the
Oh
same
my
time
gosh,
if
yes.
you're going that far. Excuse me. How do you vent unemployment or how do you vent welfare, what have you, to where it's actually functional, to where it is for the people that do need it?
Well, there's a point where someone has to come in and watch how you're applying for jobs. Because right now, say I'm on unemployment, you have to fill out a couple applications a week or a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I literally can go on Indeed right now and apply to be a neurosurgeon, and they count that.
Mhm.
What world am I going to become a neurosurgeon with zero training?
Right.
And they count that. Like, you're
How
not
do they
trying.
like that?
Because they actually send in a resume. You have to send in so many resumes a month, and you have to write it down. So I can send in one to a neuroscience or a freaking another doctor or a science
Aerospace
scientist.
engineer,
Yeah,
whatever.
you know you're not gonna.
Wow.
You know damn well you're not gonna get that.
But
Yeah.
So
the other loophole in that is they have to send them in, but you can reject every single one of them all you want to.
yeah,
It doesn't matter to them. That just throws you into the next cycle.
yeah.
So if you were able to get a job,
Yeah.
literally, you got accepted in this job, you can say, oh,
It's not for me.
it's not for me.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks, I got accepted, but no, I'm gonna push no because I'm not gonna be making enough.
yeah,
What?
yeah. You can do that.
No, that's not how it's supposed to happen.
No,
What
people
the
are taking
hell?
advantage of everything. So I got a little taste of like this sitting on your ass living a happy life for a little while because
That's not.
I got hurt in the oil field, as you know.
Mm.
I didn't work for 8 months and I saw doctor after doctor after doctor. I at 26, I'm 29 now, had a hell of a savings for a 26-year-old and a checking account. I couldn't go do anything else because if I did, my job was like, okay, so you can work,
You,
You're
and the-
just choosing not to work.
and the
I'm in that
doctors are saying you
situation right
can't.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ultimately, the doctors said I could go back, but one doctor hindered me and strung me along that we just finally parted ways, and I went to work as soon as I found a job,
so
and I hated it.
I wrecked my dirt bike, and it was on Sunday. I wrecked my dirt bike, tore my MCL halfway, and broke my tibia, the lower bone, and 6 spots on the plateau, on the top of it.
Damn.
My femur punched. My tibia went away.
Holy cow.
And I was at work the next day. My boss telling me, "What the hell are you doing here? You can't walk." It was locked up. I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. Went to the doctor. 2 weeks later, or a week later, I got the results before the doctor told me. Don't see that doctor anymore. Broken 6 spots, torn, grade 2 tear of the MCL, and I worked through all of it. Still, no cash, no nothing, anything like that. I looked that up. As far as a sports injury goes, or work injury goes,
It's one of
that's
the worst.
6 to 10 weeks plus surgery.
Yep.
Don't bother me, I got kids to feed. Keep going, hit it with a hammer in the back, make it bend.
Yep.
I mean, what you do.
Yeah.
So when you have that type of self-thought or self-awareness of that sucks, and you keep going, you come to be resilient on life's nothing but pain and agony. Just go to work, get your stuff done, provide.
Yeah.
Don't fall back on it.
Because if your kids see you going through that, like you said, it's a circle.
Mm-hmm.
But if they see you just sit back and be like, shit, this sucks, pity me, pity that, whatever,
Yeah.
that could cause like 2 or 3 generations of, oh, we're just gonna not be intentional and just sit there and then someone has to eventually come along in your family line and break generational curses and thought patterns, and which it's hard on them,
Yeah,
and it's not fair, to be honest.
yeah.
So
There are certain things though that, because I had gotten that back injury,
yeah.
and they still haven't released me, and I'm just kind of like, can I just go back and do
Yeah.
something? And they're like, no.
Damn.
So it's just kind of one of those things of,
Yeah, but your kids are old enough that they see that you busted your ass your whole life, and they see what's going on. Cause,
oh yeah,
right,
I've gotten
so-
so much worse.
so I mean, like,
No, I'm not kidding. My health is just declining so much.
but they've seen you bust your ass day in, day out for years. Now
I
that
hope they did.
y'all paying attention over there?
Oh, I'm listening real good. I
And
had something I wanted to say earlier, but I didn't want to bother you.
Come on
Go
in. No,
ahead.
come on.
Come on in.
It goes back a little bit because it's about work ethic.
Yeah,
because-
come
Hey,
on
Mom,
in.
yeah. Pull up the chair.
So this is my daughter-in-law, Caitlin.
Oh gosh.
So, and this is how the channel's gonna go. If someone wants to say something, and they come
Please
on,
join in.
come on.
I don't think you are in, baby.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I like this. This is what the channel's gonna be about.
No,
like
so I was listening to y'all talk about work ethic, and I was just going from it at a different perspective as somebody who is younger in the younger generation and stuff. And obviously, I agree with a lot of what y'all were saying. But I also think especially with a lot of the younger generation with like mental illness and what's going on and stuff like that, it makes it hard for some people. Because from all the jobs that I've had, one of the most consistent things that my bosses have told me is that I have really good work ethic. But I suffer with high anxiety, and it's I was diagnosed with high anxiety, and I have a whole bunch of other smorgasbord and stuff. And so it makes it hard for me to hold down a job because I get so overwhelmed with like specifically in like retail and stuff, because I didn't go to college. Because I plan to at some point, but sorry.
No, you're good.
You're fine.
good.
You're fine. You're doing great.
No one's judging. We're listening.
I know it was that thing I was talking about, the anxiety. I don't normally do this, so I was like, ugh. But it made it hard for me to like be able to keep a job, and it was just so tough because I want to work and I know I need to work and I know I need to make money, but I can't. I just can't seem to hold down a job long enough because everything just sort of like gets too overwhelming. In retail, if I went to college and I like went and probably like went through the courses of doing something or whatever to get a better job outside of retail, I would probably do a lot better just because of also with college being so expensive
Yeah.
nowadays and stuff and all that, it just makes it really tough. And so a lot of us just get stuck in retail, and that just sucks.
Okay. Can I say this though?
Yeah.
I didn't go to college. Don't have money. It's not for me.
Right.
As far as your anxiety and stuff goes, seems to me retail is more. Is there a way that you can get out of that occupation?
Because
Without
retail
going
is a
to
beast
college?
in general. Like,
Yeah,
so.
retail is a piece of
It
well,
is.
there are ways, but it's just like nothing that. Oh, it was what y'all were saying. There's a lot of jobs that I don't want to do, or I physically can't do. A lot of hard labor jobs, personally, because of injuries that I've sustained when I was younger and stuff. Or like I can't carry a lot of heavy load with this wrist because I've broken it, and I didn't go to a doctor or anything because I didn't have insurance and stuff. So like it's really hard for me to carry stuff, and I don't want to burden the companies by me being slower in my job because I can't do it as efficiently as other people. So there are jobs that I could do without having to go to college, but I personally cannot do them. So I see that and I recognize that, but it's just like,
So my question with the anxiety part, and
Mhm.
that makes sense, since you do have a lot of high I can't even say the word now.
Energy.
Anxiety. Thank you. I couldn't say it for some reason. Do you see like people who fake it a lot just
Oh.
to?
definitely. I've met a lot of people that fake it, and it was one of the most frustrating things at one of the places that I worked at,
It's like a cop out card. Almost.
It is a cop-out card. The people, and that's the other thing that bothers me with mental illness. There are people that obviously have it, and they obviously struggle with it. They've been diagnosed with it. They've been working with it for like most of their lives. Like I was diagnosed at a very young age. I've had to work with this for most of my life. And then I was working at this one place. I think it was when I was working at Pink in retail and stuff. And there was this one girl, and she would call in nearly every day or every other day. Hey, I'm having a panic attack. I really don't think I can come into work. Da 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 da. But the days that she would come in, she would be just fine. She would be just fine. She would never have an anxiety attack. And she said it was about as bad as like mine and stuff. And she would try to talk to me about it. And you can tell who the fakers are because they constantly talk about it, even when there's nothing going on. And they'll just be like, I have anxiety or I have this. And it's just like
They want to
self-diagnosing.
Prove that they have
Yeah,
it.
you know, prove it and stuff. And it's just like, if you really had it, you probably wouldn't want to talk about it as much. Because that's one thing, like, I don't, because it feels like a weakness. Yeah, it feels like a weakness. I don't want to go out of my way to talk about it.
You don't want the pity,
Yeah, I don't want the pity. Because
People,
obviously it's
people
something that
do
I like.
treat you different.
Yeah.
When they find out you have a mental illness, they treat you completely
So different.
There's a
And it's
stigma
so hard.
in that phrase mental illness. Because there are some bad ones like schizophrenia and stuff
Oh,
like that.
oh yeah, for sure.
But so, I mean, like, there's a spectrum, so, but they all think mental illness is like the super aggressive one, like, oh shit. you're
Oh,
gonna
like
go crazy.
schizophrenia,
Yeah.
bipolar, stuff
Yeah.
like that. All the stuff that has like really bad, which and then even bipolar isn't even that bad. Bipolar and borderline personality disorder aren't that bad. They're just people who have it worse that make the stigma bad for those particular mental illnesses, and that's really frustrating as well because then everybody's like, oh, when someone is like a lot of my friends, we all have some sort of mental illness that we were diagnosed with at ages and stuff, and so we'll talk about it, and then people come over and they'll be like, our age, and they'll be like, do you have a mental illness? And they obviously don't, and they'll be like, well, I have this, and it makes me do this, and I'm like, no, you do that because you want attention, you're attention seeking, and it makes it easier in your life for you to do that.
Yeah.
But there are us who like really struggle with it, and it's really hard for us, you know.
There was somebody that we knew like that. I have ADHD.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my son
So-
has ADHD. I
Yeah.
have ADHD.
Do you think that's more of the fact that we're just people in general
Yeah.
are talking about it more, bringing it up more, that it's causing that same stigma of people wanting to fake it?
Yeah, I do
It's like a
think
trend.
that. Yeah, it's
That's
a
what I'm
trend
thinking.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's
trend,
become a trend, especially in the younger generation. It's become a trend because if you have a mental illness, you're quirky. Like you see it all over TikTok and all that
Yeah.
stuff, all those
I
social
have
media
this,
apps,
I
Instagram.
have that.
I have this and this and this, and it makes me do this. And obviously, there's some really educational, like especially on TikTok, there's some really educational profiles that like actually try to educate you on the mental illness. And then there's ones that are like, I dumped my boyfriend today for the 4th time because I have a mental illness, and now we're back together. And it's like,
That just sounds toxic.
it is toxic.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh
It's
my gosh,
toxic.
that is
But
so
it's
toxic.
exactly what it is. And it's getting them, but it's getting them attention. It's getting them views because other people are like, well, I do this, so maybe I have it too. And it's like, no.
Oh, I cheated on my partner because I have this.
Yeah.
No,
and
you
it's,
cheat because
what?
you're an asshole.
yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
You cheat, you're an asshole.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I'm
it's
saying.
it's really, it's so frustrating. And then like, I would have to tell, like every time I go and I get a new job, I have to tell them immediately, like, hey, I do have a mental illness. I do need only certain, like I don't go, oh, I need to have like a hour break. I just need a little more time to like get myself, maybe I had like a 15-minute break, so it was 5 minutes longer than my normal
Yeah.
break and stuff, just so I could have that time to like get myself situated in and stuff. And I always hated having to bring it up because, you know, they would ask like, hey, is there anything that we need to know that we need to accommodate for, which is really great
Yeah.
on job business's parts. But for me personally, I always hated telling them because I didn't want them to think that I couldn't do my job as well as anybody else.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think I can, and they always did tell me that I had really good work ethic, but it got to a point for me where I would just be struggling and spiraling and getting so bad that I just couldn't go back anymore, and I'd have to be like, hey, I'm really sorry, I really love the job, I really love working, but I'm just so overwhelmed right now, I can't even, like, get out of bed,
Yeah.
you know, and I would have to leave, and then go immediately, and I'm, like, trying to find a new job, and I'm, like, actively trying to find a new job now because I'm frustrated by it, and I'm like, I hate not working, I really do, but it's
Yeah.
just so frustrating as someone with mental illness to find that.
Are there, most of you guys want to say something?
No, go for it.
Are there occupation routes with, like, say, retail?
Mhm.
Are there positions within it that can accommodate that, to where it's more of a low stress, more
You'd have to be like,
less people, less?
I think that there is because there's inventory.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Behind the scenes, a lot of
Behind the
times,
scenes.
So.
But inventory, so in the retail jobs that I have worked, which have all been like places like Pink or Aerie or like Build-A-Bear and stuff like that, inventory happens.
Build-A-Bear, I love that. That's awesome.
I did work at Build-A-Bear. It was actually a lot of fun. I actually had to quit there because I got COVID. And, no, I didn't get COVID. I had a double ear infection and a viral chest infection.
Dang.
And my doctor told me that I needed to be out for a full 10 days. And my boss was like, we need you back after 5. And I was like, I have a doctor's note that I need to be out for 10 days. And they were like, yeah, we need you to come back in 5. And I had to have him go in and bring it to my boss because I literally couldn't go in.
Yeah.
I was literally bedridden. I couldn't get up out of bed, anything. I was so sick and nauseous and just everything all at once. And my boss literally called me at home and was like, yeah, next time you need to bring it in yourself.
Oh.
And I was so frustrated because Build-A-Bear was actually one of the lower stress retail jobs that I worked that I genuinely left, and I had to leave because I didn't come back after 5 days because I physically couldn't.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating.
That's hard. Yeah. No.
Well,
You made a good point though. Is you did what your doctor said,
yes.
and you followed your own health guidelines.
Health is more important. Like in certain situations, health to me is more important.
Yes.
Like obviously, I know what you said about your injury and stuff, but you have a different job than a retail job. In a retail job, retail to me is not as important as like working in an oil rig or working at somewhere else. Retail is just, for fun. It's for people who want to shop and go and get like all these cute things or whatever. Retail is not important. So my health is over my retail job.
You work to live. You don't live to work.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
and a lot of people
That's my problem.
like I watched this.
Well, we have to,
Yeah.
especially if we're the sole provider.
Mm.
And I totally get it.
I live with
Well, I watched 2 months ago. Like we had one of our like janitors die, and so I'm like, well, that's bad, obviously.
Yeah.
But he died on Friday. They had his job posting up Monday morning. You're literally working for a company who you're busting your ass for,
That's why I love
but
it.
they will replace your ass just like that when you're gone. It was literally a day and a half when they had it.
That's why I love
In the
company
morning.
I work for is because it's not that way, but a lot of companies are. It
They
is.
are.
You are just another cog in the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say
It's
this:
money,
I like
money,
where I
money.
work. It's a good spot. I'm not gonna name it, but that was just a very recent thing that I saw. Like I've heard people say it all the time, and I've witnessed it, but I've never witnessed it like that.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, damn.
Like you'll see
All right.
that on Facebook or something,
Yeah.
Second, they'll have your job listing up before you're in the ground, stuff like that.
I witnessed it. Yeah.
I was gonna say definitely in retail there are jobs that are like easier for you to do if you do have anxiety stuff, but inventory is done either before work hours or after work hours. So like before the store is open. So you'll do inventory before, and then once the store opens, you move from inventory and you immediately go out on the floor.
Yeah.
Or like at Pink, inventory was done just by that was the only job that male workers could do that would hire for Pink because you obviously couldn't go on the floor and do all
Yeah.
the stuff with all the because that would cause issues with like young females and their mothers and stuff.
Yeah.
So inventory was set just for male employees, and so only male employees would be able to do that. So I had to be on the floor constantly and stuff. Or like we would have to do floor sets, but those were after hours. You couldn't do that
Right.
during the store being open and stuff like that. So a lot of the way retail works now is they have like everything behind the scenes before the store is open, and then if you're there in the morning, your shift continues once the store opens. You have to go out on the floor, and then you get to go home.
So it would be easier if people actually knew how to act nowadays.
That's good.
A lot of it is
I have to.
people don't know how to act, and they think
100%.
the customers think they're better than the workers.
That is
and
something.
you're-
Oh my god!
And you're not. I'm gonna put that out there. Karens,
It's
have fun.
or Kyle's.
Kyle's, Karens, whatever. You're not.
Chad's,
Kyle's.
You're-
yeah,
you're
it's
not better than
Chad's,
anyone.
yeah.
Brad's.
Yeah.
The amount of women I had to deal with that kid, because I've primarily worked in stores like Pink and Aerie, which are all like women's intimate wear and stuff like that. The amount of women that would come in and just like older women that probably shouldn't be in a young girl's store, people my age or whatever,
Yeah.
either shopping for themselves or maybe shopping for their like grandchildren
Which
or their
is weird.
daughters.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
nice.
well, okay, so
Not
no, here's the other thing. So
really.
Pink and Aerie, aside from their intimate wear in the back, they also had things like t-shirts and sweaters
okay.
and jeans and stuff like that, swimwear
Yoga
and stuff
stuff.
like that.
Okay, see, I was thinking like
Yoga
intimate
stuff.
wear, like, I'm
Oh,
like, why
it's
would
not
you have
Victoria's
one?
Victoria's
Secret.
Secret.
That's
Pink
Oh,
is
okay,
Secret.
okay.
Patricia's.
Pink is
Damn.
Pink is more
Pink is
towards
more of
the
like
casual.
Oh, okay,
Casual
okay, okay.
sportswear,
Sportswear.
loungewear sort of thing.
Okay, I went in
Aerie
a
is the
different
same
direction.
idea, but it's by women for women, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Okay.
and there were so many women that would come in and like judge just us employees on certain things. Like we would go over to help them and they'd be like, we don't need your help, and we'd be like, okay, and then they'd come over and they'd be like, why aren't you helping us?
Yeah.
And I was like, you just told me you didn't want my help.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I didn't want it then, I want it now. And I was like, well, you didn't say anything. And
Right.
then I would get in trouble because I didn't help her, but she specifically told me not to help her.
Yeah.
And it was just so frustrating. And then, like, the worst was men coming into those stores. Because they would just come in, they would stand there, they would watch us. They wouldn't, oh my gosh, there was this one guy that came in, and they would just watch us. And they would just watch us employees, and we'd be doing our thing. You know, nobody else would be in the store. It'd literally be just this one guy. And we'd just be like, doing our thing, fixing like clothes up so they're nice and folded and neat again and stuff like that. And then like they just leave. Or I had someone call one time and ask me if we sold stockings.
Huh.
And I was like, well, we do have, you know, these leggings and stuff like that. And then it was just heavy breathing, and I was just like, I'm gonna hang out.
And like you're just weird.
And it was just
Yeah.
weird. It was so weird. And us, we have to deal with that, and we can't get mad at them.
Yeah.
Us retail employees, we can't get mad at them, because if we do, that's our job on the line.
Right. I think that goes back to a boss having their employees back at a certain point.
Oh,
It-
you
it-
definitely
Yeah.
have it. The problem is they don't.
Right. and
Because
that
the
needs to
manager
change
will
up.
get in trouble. The
Yeah.
manager, whoever's manager on duty or the main manager of the store, they will get in trouble by
Right.
higher ups. So the only way for like in a retail job, this was what I was trying to get at. I'm so sorry.
No, you're
The
fine.
only way in a retail job to have a low stress anxiety job would be to get up in the ranks to get more to a corporate level. Then you wouldn't be really working retail anymore though, but you would be working the management of retail.
Okay.
At least nowadays.
I got family that works for Walmart.
Right. I've
A
never.
couple of them are overnight stalkers.
Mhm.
Would that be something that's somewhat low anxiety, low?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, for sure,
That's
probably,
are
but
they-
that's
are
just
they-
not a job that I would want to do and put myself in, just
Okay.
because I don't like. I personally don't like Walmart as a corporation.
I'm just.
No offense to your family who works for there; they're making
No,
money, they're
it-
doing their living and stuff, and I get that. But I personally don't like Walmart as a corporation, so I wouldn't want to put myself there.
I think,
Same with Amazon. I want nothing to do with Amazon.
I think the point is he's saying that
There's
it doesn't
different
matter
avenues.
which company it is.
Right.
It's the fact of it's at night and you're doing something specifically that isn't crowd.
dealing with customers, right?
At
Yeah,
all.
that would definitely
that's
be
what
more.
I was getting at was.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're
I was.
fine. You're fine.
And the thing is, the whole job situation since COVID, since
Oh my
2019,
gosh.
everything has become by phone. So it does help people that have anxiety to be able to work from home.
Yeah.
You can be customer service.
Mhm.
You can call to make appointments.
Yeah.
They have a coding class for 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you don't have money for college, they have programs to where you can actually get, what is it, the free money for
FAFSA.
Yeah, it's fast food. It's,
Yeah.
it's grants more or less.
grants
Grants,
to actually
scholarships,
do
stuff like that.
something
Yeah.
that's you're able to do, because trust me, when it comes to mental health, I completely understand. But there are things that since COVID has really opened up.
I'm
for
aware
everyone.
of that, and I think
Yeah.
I'm probably proving your point that y'all were making earlier when I say this, but there are just certain jobs that I personally don't want to do or I can't do, right?
Wow.
So I have like an idealized like jobs that I want to do that I feel like I can do, but it's so hard to find those particular jobs because those aren't the ones that are open. Like
Yeah.
I could probably sit there and do secretary work at a veterinary's office or at a real estate office, but do I want to do that? No, I don't really, because I don't want to just sit there at work
Right.
all day and then do nothing. Like my dream job, I want to have my own independently owned bookstore, but that requires me to do a bunch of work to get there,
Yeah.
and I need to have a job before I get there because I need to have money to financially finance that dream job, and I am aware of that and I know that, but it's just the other thing of like, well, I don't want to do these jobs, so it's. So that proves y'all's point from earlier that like our generation doesn't really want to
Yeah.
do certain jobs, but at the same time, it's.
I like the fact you acknowledge that, but at the same time, there's a point if you can't find a job that you want,
Yeah.
you're
you
gonna have to
do
suck
what
it up,
you-
buttercup for a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm
you
aware of
don't
that.
yeah. But some of the people that might watch may throw that out there like, oh, but this and that, the other.
Yeah.
Suck it up for a little bit and do what you have to do.
Obviously, and I get that. I'm
Yeah.
aware of that. Honestly, there was this one job I had before COVID. Okay, I worked there for a good year. It was the only job that I've worked there for a full year.
Mhm.
It was at Vintage Stock, actually, up on 33rd. That's where it was. It was up on 33rd. It was Vintage Stock on 33rd. I worked there for a good year.
In Edmond?
In Edmond.
Okay,
Yeah,
I know.
I absolutely loved it when she got there. I got some really cool Batman.
I got you those for
Yeah.
Christmas. I got her actual batarangs
They're
for
actually
Christmas. They're
legit.
legit sharp. I've
Yeah.
gotten so many cool things there. I had such a good discount there and stuff. But I genuinely loved working there. It was something I was interested in. It was something that I had hobbies in and stuff like that. Video games, movies, music, all this other stuff. And it was fantastic. But then COVID happened and they let us all go. And then they called me and they were like, hey, do you want us to let you know when we open up again? And I was like, yes, I would, so I can reapply and I'll go on unemployment until then. And I did that. And then I had to get off of unemployment. I know you talked about that earlier, but I didn't do the thing that people do and cheat on unemployment. Right. I was like, I did it for my thing. And then, when I was done, obviously I didn't have a job yet because COVID was still going on and nobody was hiring. I got off of it, and then I found out a year after COVID, we were like, oh, let's just go check out Vintage Stock because I haven't gotten a call from them saying that they're open again.
Yeah.
Everybody that I was working with was working again, but they didn't call me back. And they didn't hire me back. And I was so frustrated, but that would be, I was more frustrated with my manager that worked there and not the company itself because it was my manager who was after doing hiring and rehiring and stuff. So that was on her and not the company itself. I still love the company. If I could go back there, I would. But
so my question with that is, you had a rightful reason to be frustrated.
Mhm.
Did you ever go into the store, talk to the manager, like, hey, is there something I did that could have been better, and just get some feedback?
I did call them. I didn't physically go in
Yeah.
because I didn't want to because I was so mad and I knew at that time when I called them, I knew if I went in I was going to make a big scene and I didn't want to do that for the company. So I called them at home privately so I could just talk to her privately and not have to deal with, my other ex-coworkers.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I noticed you guys are open again. I haven't been called back, but every single one of my other coworkers are there and you have replaced me. What did I do wrong? And she said, oh, you told me you wanted to go on unemployment, so I figured you didn't want the job anymore. I said, you asked me if I wanted to be notified again when y'all opened up so I could reapply.
Yeah.
You failed on that part as a manager to notify me to reapply. So obviously I had to do something wrong. She's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I just figured you didn't want the job anymore. And I was like, well, there was miscommunication and error there, and I'm very disappointed with this, so I will not be returning to this Vintage Stock.
Yeah.
But of course, it was the only one in Edmond at the time,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to have to go a further commute, so I just didn't go back to Vintage Stock. Now, it's been a couple of years, and I could probably go back because she doesn't work there anymore, and there's a new manager, and I've actually thought about going back to Vintage Stock. I'm in the process of doing that actually,
Heck yeah.
but at the time, I was so frustrated that I was like, I want nothing to do Vintage Stock. I haven't even entered a Vintage Stock since then.
Okay.
I really legitimately have not been entered one since then just because it frustrated me so bad. And I've gotten over it since then, but for that whole, at least the first year of me, I was like, this is dumb. But I recognized that it wasn't the company's fault, it was that particular manager's fault. And she herself was such a hard ass.
Yeah.
She was such a hard ass. It was so bad. She had to take me home one time because my mom wouldn't come pick me up because I was 18, 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And she got so pissed off at me that I didn't have reliable transportation. I was like, I literally get myself home. I walk home. Okay? Most of the time I worked evenings. I had to walk home in Edmond and I did not live in a good neighborhood. I was 18, 19, and she was pissed off at me that I asked her for a ride home because the one time I worked in the evening, my mom couldn't fucking come and get me. Pardon my language. I'm so sorry. I was so upset by it though that I was like, I won't ask for any help again. I will figure out alternative rides. Yeah. And then I had started dating her son, Nick, during this time and stuff, so he started taking me home instead of my mother so that my mother, I had reliable transportation at the time. So it got figured out and stuff, but I was just so mad that she got mad that she had to take me home this one time, even though I had reliable transportation every other time. So it was really frustrating.
I love the fact that you've done more at your age than a lot of people in this new generation would or even think about doing. I applaud you for that.
I was gonna say, I think I'm 21, so I have since I was 18, which is when my mom allowed me to start getting jobs and stuff, because I did marching band through high school, so she said
Okay.
I couldn't balance the two. So I think when I was about 18, I got my first job at like the Johnny's Charcoal Broiler, and since then I've had about 7 jobs.
Okay.
Just because I want to work and I want to make money.
Yeah.
You know, I never, like, I think this is the, aside from COVID, I think this is the longest I've gone without a job, but I've gotten to the point again where like I need a job, so I've already started putting out applications again, and I'm like,